For most of human history, emotional suffering was something people endured quietly. You talked to family if you were lucky, you prayed, you pushed through. And for many, pain happened in isolation, unseen, unheard, and untreated. Today, mental health awareness is finally rising, yet access to care has never felt more strained. Anxiety, depression, burnout, trauma, loneliness, these are no longer rare experiences. They are becoming part of everyday life. At the same time, therapists are overwhelmed. Wait lists stretch for months. Treatment is expensive, and in many regions, mental health professionals are simply unavailable. This creates a painful paradox. More people are brave enough to seek help, yet fewer people are able to receive it when they need it most. And into this gap steps something unexpected: artificial intelligence. Over the last few years, AI-powered mental health tools have quietly moved from experimental technology into everyday wellness support. Apps that offer mood tracking, CBT-style exercises, emotional journaling, and conversational chatbots are now used by millions of people worldwide. Some people use them casually, like a digital journal or wellness tracker. Others rely on them during moments of panic, despair, loneliness, or emotional overload when no one else is available. These tools don't sleep. They don't judge. They don't require appointments. You open your phone, type what you're feeling, and something responds instantly. But this raises important questions. Can AI really help regulate anxiety? Can algorithms guide someone through grief, trauma, or depression? Are we improving access to mental health care or replacing something deeply human with artificial comfort? The truth is more complex than either extreme. To understand what's really happening, we need to start with why mental health access is broken in the first place. Globally, mental health systems are overwhelmed. More than 1 billion people experience some form of mental health condition, yet the majority never receive adequate care. In many countries, there are fewer than one psychiatrist per 100,000 people. Even in wealthier nations, people face therapy waitlists of weeks or months. Cost remains a barrier. Stigma still keeps people silent. And emotional distress doesn't operate on business hours. Panic attacks don't wait for appointments. Loneliness doesn't check calendars. Crisis shows up when it shows up, often at night, when support systems are unavailable. This creates a dangerous gap between emotional need and emotional care. So when AI-based mental health tools appeared, offering immediate low-cost, private support, millions tried them, not because they preferred machines, but because machines were available when humans weren't. Most AI mental health platforms fall into 3 categories: mood tracking tools, skill-building therapy apps, and conversational chatbots. Mood tracking apps allow users to log emotions, sleep, stress, energy levels, triggers, and habits over time. This data helps users recognize emotional patterns they often miss, like how poor sleep worsens anxiety, how isolation deepens low mood, or how work stress predicts emotional shutdown. Over time, mood tracking increases emotional awareness, which is one of the strongest predictors of psychological resilience. Skill-building apps use evidence-based frameworks like cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction, acceptance and commitment therapy, and trauma-informed coping strategies. These tools guide users through exercises such as identifying negative thought patterns, reframing distorted beliefs, regulating emotions, practicing grounding techniques, and building healthier behaviors. Instead of waiting weeks to see a therapist, people can practice these skills daily, right when distress appears. Then there are AI chatbots, digital companions that simulate therapeutic conversations. These bots use natural language processing to understand what users type and respond with reflective, supportive, and structured guidance. Some focus on emotional validation. Others guide users through CBT exercises, journaling prompts, breathing practices, or crisis stabilization tools. The experience feels like texting a calm listener, someone who never rushes you, never interrupts, and never dismisses your feelings. It's important to say clearly, these tools are not therapists. They do not diagnose. They do not treat mental illness. They do not replace human care. Instead, they function as emotional support systems, bridges between distress and professional help, not substitutes for it. Personalization is one of AI's strongest advantages. Unlike static self-help content, AI tools adapt based on user behavior over time. They track patterns, emotional trends, sleep cycles, stress triggers, language use, recurring negative beliefs, and adjust their responses accordingly. If someone consistently reports anxiety on Sunday evenings, the app might proactively suggest grounding exercises before stress peaks. If journaling reveals harsh self-criticism, the system may guide cognitive reframing more frequently. If mood tracking shows emotional withdrawal after social conflict, the app might suggest communication or emotional processing tools. Over time, these systems become more responsive and relevant to each individual's emotional life. And because they are available 24/7, support can occur at the exact moment distress arises, not hours or days later. This timing matters because emotional regulation is most effective when it happens during activation, not after collapse. One of the most powerful ways AI tools support mental health is through cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. CBT is one of the most researched psychological treatments in modern mental health care. It's based on the idea that thoughts influence emotions, and emotions influence behavior. By identifying distorted thinking patterns and replacing them with more balanced interpretations, emotional distress can be reduced. AI systems are especially suited for CBT because CBT is structured, skill-based, and process-driven. When someone types, "I always mess everything up," an AI chatbot can recognize overgeneralization and guide reframing. What evidence supports this belief? What evidence contradicts it? What would you say to a friend who thought this? How could this thought be stated more realistically? Over time, users internalize these skills and begin challenging distorted thoughts automatically, strengthening emotional resilience and cognitive flexibility. Mood tracking enhances this process by helping users see emotional patterns objectively. Humans are not great at recalling emotional trends accurately. When we feel depressed, we believe we've always felt this way. When anxious, we assume the anxiety will never end. Mood data counters this distortion by showing fluctuation, patterns, and change. This can be deeply grounding, especially during intense emotional states, because it restores perspective and hope. Another powerful feature of AI mental health tools is emotional validation. Many people don't need solutions when they're distressed. They need to feel heard. They need acknowledgement. They need their pain to be taken seriously. AI chatbots are trained to reflect emotions, normalize distress, and respond with empathetic language. When someone types, "I feel like I'm failing at everything," the response isn't a lecture, it's validation. That sounds exhausting. Feeling like you're failing can be incredibly painful, especially when you've been trying so hard. That alone can reduce emotional intensity by activating the brain's social safety circuits. What's fascinating is that humans respond emotionally to perceived empathy, even when they know it's artificial. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between human and machine empathy. It responds to tone, language, and validation. This doesn't mean AI replaces human connection, but it does mean emotional regulation can occur through supportive language, regardless of the source. In moments of distress, regulation matters more than origin. Accessibility is one of the strongest drivers. AI mental health tools are typically low-cost or free, globally available, private, and usable anytime. This matters because mental health stigma still prevents millions from seeking help, especially in cultures where emotional vulnerability is discouraged or therapy is misunderstood. For some people, typing into an app feels safer than speaking to a person. There's no fear of being judged, misunderstood, or burdening someone else. The emotional barrier to entry is lower, which increases the likelihood of seeking support. These tools are especially impactful for adolescents, neurodivergent individuals, trauma survivors, socially anxious individuals, and people in isolated or underserved communities. Teens are more likely to disclose emotions through text-based interfaces. Neurodivergent individuals often prefer predictable, structured communication. Trauma survivors may feel safer processing emotions privately before sharing with others. AI tools meet people where they are, not where traditional systems expect them to be. Research increasingly shows that digital CBT tools can significantly reduce symptoms of mild to moderate anxiety, depression, stress, and emotional dysregulation. Mood tracking improves self-awareness and emotional regulation. Journaling reduces rumination and emotional suppression. Guided breathing lowers physiological stress responses. Cognitive reframing increases psychological flexibility. While these tools are not sufficient for severe mental illness or crisis states, they are highly effective as early intervention tools, preventing distress from escalating into clinical disorders. One of the most powerful benefits of AI mental health tools is prevention. Most mental health systems are reactive. They intervene after distress becomes severe. AI tools enable proactive emotional care, small daily interventions that strengthen resilience, reduce stress accumulation, and improve emotional literacy before crisis develops. Instead of waiting until someone is overwhelmed, suicidal, or non-functional, these tools support people during everyday emotional struggles, work stress, relationship conflict, burnout, loneliness, self-doubt, grief, and emotional exhaustion. Another major benefit is privacy. Many users feel more comfortable disclosing emotions to a non-human interface, especially when dealing with shame, guilt, trauma, or stigma. The anonymity allows honesty without fear of judgment or rejection. This can be especially powerful for people who struggle to express emotions verbally or fear burdening others. Consistency is also key. Unlike human support systems, AI tools don't get tired, distracted, busy, or emotionally overwhelmed. They respond immediately, every time, without impatience or judgment. That consistency creates psychological safety, especially for people with attachment wounds, trauma histories, or emotional neglect experiences. While AI cannot replace relational healing, it can provide stable emotional scaffolding. Despite these strengths, AI mental health tools have serious limitations. First, AI lacks consciousness, emotional intuition, and true empathy. It simulates supportive language, but does not feel concern, compassion, or care. It cannot perceive tone, body language, facial expression, emotional energy, or relational context. It cannot intuit trauma responses, dissociation, psychosis, or complex emotional dynamics with the nuance a trained clinician can. Second, AI is not equipped for crisis intervention. While some tools detect self-harm language and provide emergency resources, they cannot replace suicide hotlines, emergency services, or trained crisis counselors. In moments of acute risk, human intervention is essential. Third, there are privacy and data ethics concerns. Mental health data is among the most sensitive information a person can share. Trauma histories, emotional vulnerabilities, psychological struggles. Not all apps meet the same privacy standards. Some store conversations, some share anonymized data, some integrate third-party analytics. Users must remain informed and cautious. Fourth, emotional dependency is a real risk. If someone relies on a chatbot as their primary emotional support, especially during loneliness or distress, it may replace, rather than supplement, human relationships. AI tools should support connection, not substitute it. Fifth, AI tools may oversimplify complex psychological conditions. Trauma, attachment injuries, neurodivergence, personality disorders, chronic depression, dissociation, and grief require nuanced, individualized care. Overgeneralized guidance can feel invalidating or ineffective when emotional experiences are layered and contextual. For these reasons, ethical developers emphasize that AI tools should supplement, not replace, professional care. The healthiest model is hybrid care. AI supports daily emotional regulation and skill building, while clinicians provide diagnosis, trauma processing, relational work, and crisis intervention. When used responsibly, AI tools become emotional scaffolding, holding people steady between moments of deeper support. They help users notice emotional patterns sooner, regulate stress more effectively, interrupt rumination, practice healthier thinking, build emotional literacy, and strengthen resilience. Most importantly, they reduce emotional isolation by ensuring that fewer people suffer alone. One of the most transformative implications of AI mental health tools is democratization. Psychological care has historically been accessible primarily to those with wealth, education, proximity to services, and cultural permission. AI tools lower these barriers dramatically. They cost less. They scale globally. They operate 24/7. They bypass stigma. They reach populations traditional systems cannot. In low-income regions with few therapists, digital mental health tools may become the first, and sometimes only, line of emotional support. In crisis zones, refugee camps, disaster settings, or rural communities, AI tools can provide psychological first aid where professionals are unavailable. In overstressed healthcare systems, they can reduce clinician burnout by offloading routine emotional support needs. In schools, they can teach emotional literacy. In workplaces, they can reduce burnout and improve psychological safety. Another powerful frontier is early detection. AI systems can identify subtle emotional changes, shifts in language, tone, increasing cognitive distortions, rising hopelessness, emotional withdrawal, sleep disruption, or stress accumulation. Over time, these systems may detect emotional deterioration before individuals consciously recognize it themselves, allowing earlier intervention. This shifts mental health care from reactive to preventive. But perhaps the most profound impact of AI mental health tools lies in emotional education. Most people are never taught how emotions work. They are rarely taught how to regulate distress, challenge distorted thinking, process grief, tolerate discomfort, communicate emotional needs, or build resilience. As a result, many grow up emotionally dysregulated and overwhelmed, not because they are broken, but because they were never taught emotional skills. AI tools democratize emotional literacy. They teach people how to understand their inner world. They normalize emotional struggle. They model self-compassion. They encourage reflection. Over time, this builds resilience through practice, not just insight. Still, none of this means AI replaces therapy. Healing requires human presence. Trauma requires relational repair. Attachment wounds require safe relationships. Grief requires witnessing. Meaning-making requires shared humanity. AI can regulate emotions, but it cannot heal relational wounds. The healthiest future is not humans replaced by machines, but humans supported by machines. And that future is already unfolding. We are seeing hybrid care models where therapists integrate mental health apps into treatment. Clients use AI tools between sessions to track moods, practice skills, process emotions, and prepare discussion topics. Clinicians use app data to identify patterns, monitor progress, and personalize interventions. This increases therapy efficiency, continuity, and effectiveness. We are also seeing integration into schools, universities, workplaces, and community organizations. AI tools are being used for stress management, burnout prevention, trauma-informed coping, emotional education, anxiety reduction, and resilience training. As the technology evolves, we can expect better personalization, stronger ethical safeguards, improved crisis detection, multilingual accessibility, culturally adaptive responses, and trauma-informed design. But perhaps the most powerful change is psychological, not technological. AI tools change how people think about mental health. They normalize reaching out. They reduce shame around distress. They shift emotional care from crisis-only intervention to daily practice, like brushing your teeth instead of waiting for cavities. They encourage self-awareness, emotional honesty, and proactive care. There is something quietly revolutionary about being able to say, "I'm not okay," at 3 a.m. and receiving an immediate .com supportive response. Even if it comes from a machine, the emotional relief is real. The nervous system settles, the mind slows, the sense of isolation softens. And sometimes that moment of regulation is enough to prevent spirals, panic attacks, self-harm, or despair. It doesn't solve everything, but it creates space, and space is where healing begins. At the same time, we must remain cautious. AI must be developed ethically, transparently, and responsibly. Mental health data must be protected. Crisis protocols must be robust. Emotional dependency must be discouraged. Clear boundaries must be maintained. Human care must remain central. Technology must serve humanity, not replace it. So where does this leave us? At the beginning of a new mental health era, one where emotional support is no longer limited by geography, wealth, time zones, stigma, or availability. One where people can access tools that teach emotional skills, regulate stress, challenge harmful thinking, and provide comfort when no one else is available. One where therapy becomes more accessible, more continuous, more preventive, and more personalized. Humans don't suffer because they lack intelligence. They suffer because they lack support. They suffer because they feel alone with their pain. They suffer because they don't know how to regulate overwhelming emotions. They suffer because they believe their struggles make them weak or unworthy. AI cannot heal trauma. It cannot replace connection. It cannot love, but it can support regulation. It can teach skills. It can validate pain. It can reduce isolation. And sometimes that's enough to get someone through the night and into the next day. If this video helped you understand the future of mental health care, or if you've ever used mental health apps or AI support tools yourself, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you see this as progress, or do you have concerns? And if you want more deep dives into neuroscience, psychology, emotional healing, trauma recovery, and mental wellness, make sure to subscribe. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation, and understanding is the first step toward change.